Welcome everybody to a new Ascension Messages. My name is Bobbie Richardson. I have another beautiful guest. It is the Joe Gifford. It's the Joe Gifford. It is Joe Gifford. She is a light languager and a psychic, a beautiful person. Love to have you here, Joe.
Thanks, Bobbie. Happy Christmas, happy Boxing Day. What is it? It's Tuesday, 3 days after. So did you have a great Christmas?
Yes, I did. I had probably my last Christmas with my girls. My 18-year-old is leaving. So the great thing was, you know, when kids are young and they jump all over your bed and, you know, get all excited about everything. I think they were trying to recreate that. So they woke me up and jumped all over my bed and opened their stockings. And I was like, oh, my heart, that's the best Christmas present I could have ever got. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had it on my own. I was alone, and I've done that. I've done that often. I love my own company. I love being alone. I don't see there's any problem with that, or that Christmas must be, you know, a certain way or another way. But when I'm on my own on Christmas, I really just do everything, not that I don't on other days, but I really just spoil myself throughout the whole day, you know, have beautiful food, do all the things that people do with others, but I just do it for myself. So I had a beautiful, peaceful, contemplative time. It was wonderful.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, well, my girls have gone to their dads for 4 weeks, so this is my time on my own as well, and I love it too. It doesn't worry me at all. There's always something to do, something to create, something to share. Yeah, and I'm quite happy with my own company as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that when you're alone, you have that opportunity to connect more with that divine aspect in you. It gives you those moments of silence, those moments of pause, where you can do that extra deep journey in, knowing that you've got all of this space and time for yourself.
And also being strongly empathic, having other people's energies around. I can sometimes wonder what's mine and what's theirs. I'm a lot better with it these days because I'm maturer within who I am and knowing myself. But it's just nice to have my own energy and come all back to me and not having to deal with little bits of energy of other people's. Yeah, because I mean, they don't have to do or say anything, and I will know whether they're in a good mood, bad mood, coming up to a bad mood.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of those people that recharges when I'm alone. That's how I feel. Yeah, like what is that when you're an introvert or like I can talk with anybody. I can talk, interact, you know, like it, and allow the energy to flow. So it seems like I'm an extrovert, but I'm really an introvert, and that's when I go home and I've lived alone a lot, most of my life, and that's when I recharge. So I'm out, I can talk, I can interact, I can help, heal, do everything, but then I need to have that time to recharge on my own.
Yeah, same here. Now, what were we talking about before we actually came on board? Because it was getting interesting. We're like, we should be recording.
We should hit record. Yeah, I think we were talking about light language again, and actually sort of psychic channeling, or so that it's coming through. The energies are coming through our brain, and we are interpreting them according to our concepts and understandings, and that's how it develops. You get more, I think that ultimately you get more clear as a channel. So your stuff isn't coming in as much as you get more and more not detached, but sort of allowing your personality to step back a bit. And then it becomes more clear. But until we've gotten to a higher place of a frequency, it's still going to have our individual flavor in that.
Yeah, I found like you've got people like Bashir and all of them where they have a specific person that they say comes through and then that's it. I find I have different, and like you, I have different beings coming through, but whenever I write it, or it sometimes to me has a subtle different flavor, but I still have to interpret it with my own language of my own brain. So they come through with a feeling, and then that feeling has to be interpreted into a certain language, which is my language. And that's all I know. So if I can't find the word, sometimes though, I've noticed the word will come through and I honestly don't know what that word means, depending on how good we are at communicating. And then I have to look up the word to just double check. Is that in the right place when I'm writing it down? And sometimes I feel like I'm making up words. But yeah, it is interesting, the subtleness of, I think the when you get into the benevolence of these beautiful souls, spirits that are coming through, there is definitely, because we're all in that love frequency, it's sometimes can get a little difficult to see who's who and what's what. And I just rather say, if I'm not sure, it's from my higher self connecting to others, or yeah. It is a journey in itself, because it's a whole different ball game to us speaking to each other with language, or a spirit coming through us with the language and the light language. And I don't get the light language as much. It actually intrigues me. And I think because I'm very analytical, I have about 6 Virgo signs. It's crazy amount of Virgo signs. So I have to really let go. It's kind of like my art is precise, and I love the thought of being able to do crazy art and just not care and go with the energy of it. But I like to, if it's a bird, it has to look like a bird, you know, that sort of thing.
Well, talking about funny words that just pop in, I went and saw The Matrix 4 yesterday, the movie. And 2 days ago, or actually on Christmas Eve, I did a tarot reading for Saturday and Sunday, for Christmas Day and Boxing Day. And as I was talking, I mean, here am I, like, I'm pretty reserved. I'm pretty sort of, you know, how do I say it? You know, I'm not all over the place. I don't, you know, I'm pretty even when I speak. I sort of maybe seem a little bit in a funny way, like a stick in the mud, because I'm pretty sort of not, you know, all over the place. But anyway, so this in the reading, to summarize what the first reading was, the phrase that came was "fly your freak flag high." And I've never used that phrase in my vocabulary, in my life. Yeah, so something came from left field is how this is how I'm interpreting what that language is saying. So when something comes from left field, it's come from a direction that you're not used to, or you're not even looking in. So that's how I know, that's how the interpretation of this. So in the movie, and it's not a phrase, it was around in the year 2000s or something. It's an old phrase, to fly your freak flag. And I'll talk about what it means in a minute. But I'm in the Matrix movie, and 10 minutes in, one of the characters says, "Fly your freak flag." And I went, "What?" And I laughed out loud so hard, because that's the synchronicity that's happening. That this phrase that I had never used, never spoken before, just came up for me to explain the whole reading, because what the reading was asking people to do was to be themselves. And to fly your freak flag means to not to allow yourself to stick out like a sore thumb. It's allow yourself to not go along with the crowd. I'm a freak as far as the general populace is concerned. So it was to say that over Christmas, to be yourself, to fly that flag, this is who I am, outrageously. And so when I heard that, I just laughed and said, that's the confirmation. That's how this all works, the synchronicity, that everything is connected. And the other thing that happened in the movie, which was a bit synchronistic, is when I work with my clients, I say to them, we talk about the program, and is it really you who wants to do X, Y, and Z, or is it part of the program? And one of the characters says in the movie exactly that. She goes, do I want children because I really do, or is it that's part of the Matrix program? And it was just this sort of another flag of the synchronicity. But I would actually recommend everybody go and see it. It was a very interesting movie, very interesting.
Oh, very cool. Because I've seen two different reviews of it. Someone saying it's useless, someone saying it's really amazing. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll have to go see what I feel, because it depends, I suppose, where you're coming from. But flying the freak flag, to me, I know constantly Spirit saying, come back to your authentic self. And what is that when you really go into what's your authentic self? You know, how do you drop away the program? I always think to myself, okay, where's this thought coming from? Is this thought something that someone else taught me? Because if it's a thought that someone else taught me, it's more likely to be a program, just because the system that we've been brought up in has been so thick with the program. You know, our parents, our teachers, our guides and all that, very thick program. So can
I just show you what's popped out the window? I don't know if you're going to be able to see it.
No, Cocky, yay.
He's wanting some seeds. See, he's sitting there. Look at him. And sometimes I can have 8 of them out there.
No, I miss that. I had a house in the Gap in Brisbane that had like heaps of them come up, and king parrots, and I missed them. Thank you for showing that. Yeah,
I have never
got a little man next to us.
this close before, and in fact, I've had them eating out of my hand, both them and the king parrots. So I'm like a little kid here with these birds, you know, so beautiful. Sorry. So so go on with the program, asking, where did this thought come from? Who told me this?
Yeah, so I don't have to get back into my thoughts again. Where did the actual program come from, and where did that thought come from? And then if I find it's from something that's from somebody like a teacher or a person, you know, an adult or something like that, then I will clear what I've learned. Well, what Spirit's guided me to do is to learn to clear my mind. So I literally still just I go into no mind, but that was through a lot of self-training. And then I come from my heart. Now, do I feel this? That's how I come to the truth of something. I'll go, do I feel this? Is this authentically coming through my heart, not through the program of my mind? Another thing that they taught me to do is to blank, is to say every now and then, to clear my patterns of who I think I am. I haven't done this for a while, actually. Maybe I should. I'll sit here and go, I am not a mum. I am not an artist. I'm not a channeler. I'm not an author. I just keep saying, I'm not. And I envision a white canvas. And that white canvas, because all of these things have disappeared. I am. I just am. then I start bringing in, what do I love? What do I love? What do I love? Okay, I love being a mom at the moment. I love being an artist at the moment. And I bring in the things and all the other things that other people have attached me to and thought of me and thought that I was, they all fall away. And I don't associate with those. And I feel like I have a clearer slate of my authentic self again, because your authentic self is, what do you from your heart love to be? That's really all it is, because we can choose whatever we like, but our soul is something that's a connection to us of coming through our heart of what we love and what we're passionate about, right? It won't lead us astray because it's constantly coming from love, where our mind is the conditioning of the program. But that was needed too, so that we didn't go around exceeding our limitations of putting our hand through fire and getting burnt and that sort of thing. Now that program can also be changed because everything's energy, and if you match the energy or the fire, you can actually do that. But we won't go. That's
the firewalkers.
stuff.
That's how firewalkers.
Yeah. I'm trying to give a good example, but everything can be changed and shifted as well. For a second.
Yeah. So it's not that you throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's what I feel is that you just look at everything. You just ask, because most people are on this sort of autopilot, not understanding why they like this and don't like that, or why they made that choice and not that choice. So it's really about becoming self-aware. It's becoming, reflective, self-reflective. Why do I think this way? And then if you want to keep that belief, you do. But if you don't, you've at least, you've identified it and you make a different choice. So obviously we have to fit in. Like, you could walk down the street with no clothes on, but you'd be in trouble. You'd probably, get arrested and everything. So you have an understanding of why that's not right in that scenario.
Concept, and that concept of where we're actually,
where we are,
and being accepted within that society boundaries. But when we're pushing the boundaries now, because the boundaries are starting to fall away, the other thing is to say to yourself, do I have to? If you're saying to yourself, I have to, that's definitely a program. As soon as I say I have to, it's a program.
Yeah. I've heard someone say it as, are you shoulding on yourself? Are you shoulding? You should do this, you should do that. Don't always, when you have a should or a have to, you're right, stop and say, okay, where did this come from? Do I really want to live my life according to this concept or thought?
And then make the decision, but always make the decision, for me, from my heart rather than from my mind. No, it is one of those things where coming back to your authentic self and the truth of who you are, and accepting yourself fully, knowing that not everything that you are and who you believe, what's going to make you feel good about yourself is going to please everybody else in the world and society, and that, because some of us, like the light workers especially, we've come with specific journeys to take, and you might end up making decisions that are so off kilter to what society and the norm is, but it was needed from the soul to make shifts and changes within reality. And very much like your light language, just being that person and really trusting and accepting that you are who you are, and this is part of your soul coming through as well, with the connection to all these other beings. I've
never been accepted by my family for what I do.
I think that's the easy thing for a light worker too, because many of us haven't been accepted. I was never accepted either.
No.
So when you get to this point where you have to make these radical changes, it's like, well, no one accepted me anyway, even when I was trying my best to fit in, which I never did. So we might as well just be ourselves, you know, just be there.
I have a relative who does not, a close relative, let's say a sibling, that never doesn't want to even hear the light language. She just goes, no. It's just too much for her. I am such an odd one out in the family. They think that I'm crazy, that I've wasted my life, that I was in a cult. And so I have, it's a very interesting way to live when nobody actually has any respect for your choices. So there's nothing, that's why I'm okay in being alone on Christmas, because, you know, I've never fitted in really in with that family.
But we've learned to support ourselves. And that's what we're actually teaching other people to do, so that they can get out of the program and support themselves, because no one can take that away from you now. You know, you know who you are and you support you. So if somebody else comes along and says, oh, I don't support you, you go, well, it doesn't make any difference to me, because I've already supported myself, and you can't take that from me because I give it to me. Because I have exactly the same. My father, especially, my siblings, actually my whole family, pretty much my whole family. I have one sister, and my mum is, you know, but she's very old school, but she actually saw a lot of stuff herself. So she, on one side, denied it. She didn't want to see it. When it started happening with her, she just went, this isn't right. You know, she woke up and saw a vision coming towards her, and she just went, this isn't right, and blocked it. And then when I was very little, my first vision, and I told her, she blocked it from me until I left home. And then when I left home, all of a sudden, I didn't even remember half of, you know, what had happened when I was like 4 or 5. All of a sudden, all of these visions just came. And I'm like, whoa, what's happening? Because her energy wasn't in the home anymore. Holding. Yeah. So it's been a real interesting journey.
It's interesting that I suppose that is the thing, isn't it? That's part of us, why are we born into families that don't understand us? And I think that it's part of the unfinished business, is that we've as spiritual beings, we've sort of lived on the edge of society. We haven't, and we've done it maybe a few different lifetimes and been burnt at the stake, or been, you know, whatever has happened, because we haven't complied to the mainstream belief systems. So we are born into a family to help us get over that ostracism, that fear of being alienated. And so we, as you move through life, not really being a part of it, the tribe, you end up finding your own independence, you find your own way, and you really forge strongly ahead on your own path. And that's part of the reason we are born, I think, into families that don't understand us.
Yeah, but also you bringing up, just reiterating, you're bringing up the tribes. That's where it falls into. We have had family members that disassociated from the truth of who we are, didn't understand and couldn't understand, honestly. They're so far removed, but we came into that bloodline for a reason, to hold for me, to actually still keep the magic of the DNA going. Then we've had to learn to support ourselves. That gives us the strength. Then we become more authentic. So you can see where the journey is going, where excuse me. But if we were put in a place where everyone accepted us, we would blend in with that acceptance, and we wouldn't feel the diversity or whatever it is, the resistance,
the friction.
And so we would have relied on them to support us, and we wouldn't have supported ourselves. So when we step out into the big wide world to be authentically us, we're still looking for outside help. So I can see why that journey took place. And then, and now that we've come to this full circle of, okay, I'm taking my power back, supporting who I am, because no one else is going to support me in my journey anyway. It just doesn't happen. Then that brings the tribes together. And like you and I were discussing, we feel we're part of the same soul tribe, you and I. We're starting to bring it together. There's a definite resonance between certain people in my life now. We're far away from each other, which is a power, but I think that's the next journey, right? Of switching it up to go, now are you going to shift reality so that you can actually meet? Because when you shift reality to be able to meet, you realize that power that you have. And then when the meeting happens, you realize, because already we're igniting each other. Like I'm igniting you, you're igniting me, and so forth for the other soul tribe members that I'm finding as well. We're all igniting each other. So when that happens, then we realize that the next step would be physically coming together. To do that, we have to change outside reality. We find more gifts. Then we start sharing our pieces of the puzzle. And I actually just did a talk, a predictive talk on this. This is what 222 is coming up to, because 222 is relationships, you know, it's collaborating, and it's relationships. And 6 is family. So here's the soul family, and this is, and the resistance is the borders are closed, right? So with the resistance of that, just like the resistance of our family when we were born into didn't acknowledge us, we find our power, and we find our power of how to shift our reality from the inside out. Oh my God, how exciting. See, this is what we're activating this just as we speak.
Oh yeah, we definitely will gravitate towards each other. That's my understanding about the 2022 as well. That we've done our work separate. We've had our challenges, as you said, within our family, within our home unit. We've found out and flown that freak flag.
I got a freaking fat freak flag. Try to say that fast.
I know. And so now we've sort of, in a way, I don't know about, well, I certainly feel I've passed that test, although I do know I've got one more step to do, and I'm not sure how I will take that, but it's another step of that, standing up for myself, being authentic, being walking away from something. Which
I
is
have exactly the same, and that's the soul family thing. I bet you anything is a similar story to mine. I'm not going to bring up my story either.
No, I'm not going to hear either. We'll talk about it a bit later.
Yeah,
so
definitely the same. Yeah.
Okietsa mokietchitse zikinda. Okita mokietchit saati stustegi gomba. 2 peas in a pod.
Yeah. 2 peas in a pod. I think that's what happens when soul tribes get together too, is they find their journeys have been very similar in respect to following the same energy. And then because it's everything's energy, our mind creates the story. So then our stories seem similar too, because the mind has created the story in collaboration with the energy that's happening, right? So at the moment we're stepping away from the program, and many of our relatives are in the program, thick friends and all that, in it and we fast, and we love them. We love, and we always will, but we need to go, you know what, this is who I am, and I trust this. And I'm very fortunate in some respects. I've done this once before. Just coming to Australia was an absolute faith and trust in the guidance of me coming over here. Which was a huge story for me and very difficult at the time. But because I've done it before, I know that it does turn out well eventually.
I've done it a few times.
Yeah.
I left Australia, went to England. I was in England for 2 years. I left there, went to America, there for a few years, then left America and came back to Australia. So I've left things, you know, moved on from situations that were no longer harmonious to me or part of my journey. And so having to leave those things behind has been really challenging. But it just is the next opening, the next door, you know, when you take that step.
But I am extremely excited too, because it's a soul tribe, right? So like to meet each other and then bounce off each other's energies is at the power of that is going to be huge, because I know the power of myself. So you know the power of yourself. So can you imagine that times, you know, how many people are there?
Yeah.
And it's not times, actually, it's to the power of.
That's right. Yes. It's exponential.
The shifts. And that's another part of how we shift everything around us, because the soul tribes, you know, it's not just our soul tribe, there's also other soul tribes that are feeling the same pull. And when we start to pod together like that and find each other, that energy is huge, will hugely make a big impact with Gaia and humanity's consciousness. So those that have been holding the reign has been one one soul group that's been trying to hold the reign of the whole of everything, which hasn't completely, but that won't be fed the right energy anymore. That, if you get what I'm saying.
No, you might probably have to explain it.
I'm talking about the cabal and that sort of thing.
Oh, yes, yes.
Okay, I didn't want to say their name, but
you just say the baddies.
The baddies.
The goodies and the baddies.
I didn't want to say the baddies, because they had
the black hats. Or the black hats.
They had their own journey, and they had to hold that for a specific reason, for a lesson for humanity's consciousness. So I see it as just part of the story now.
Yeah, but, that's right.
Yeah, but their purpose has not been fed. The energy is not feeding them anymore. The energy is actually feeding these new soul tribes that are coming together, that have found balance within themselves. And it's not that we're all going one way, we're not all going into, you know, just straight up feminine, imaginative, intuitive. We're collaborating both sides of ourselves and coming from balance. And that means we come from our hearts, which is... Well,
that's what I think the Matrix is about.
Oh, okay. I can't wait to see it. Yeah.
Balance. The balance between the masculine and the feminine, and the feminine really stepping into her power and the masculine supporting her.
Yeah. And that actually allows the masculine to find his authentic power.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because they have been in power, but it hasn't been authentic. It has been a controlling power because it wanted to take over everything. But then also in victimized state was the feminine side of ourselves that didn't feel powerful enough to be able to resist the power of the masculine. So once the feminine comes up, it starts to even itself out. The masculine goes, oh my God, now I know my true authentic power is is to support and bring into this reality some beautiful creation with alignment with the imaginative, intuitive side of ourselves. And then everything is reflected out. I'll share with you a quick story, because it's a really good story. When I was on a vision quest with grandmother, with this elder that was in Ohio, when I did the actual vision quest, we couldn't eat or anything like that, and it was full on. I ended up going into a dream state, and I saw me in my tent and horses galloping both sides of me, just coming out like a war zone. And I was trying to get out of my tent because I'm like, I don't want to be in amongst the war zone. And that was, to me, was the two hemispheres of my brain, left and right, and logic and imaginative, and fighting, trying to be one better than the other. I saw a cave, and I went towards the cave. Now, the cave to me represents the pineal gland. And when I tried to enter the pineal gland, where the secrets are within us, the ability to be able to connect to other frequencies, other languages, light languages, and so forth. There was an elder there, and she would not know 100%. And this is what I believe is in every single human's consciousness. 100% you are not to go into the pineal gland coming from a warring zone, because that is so she didn't even ask questions. She just saw warring zone. I'm going to get my bow and arrow and
bar you from entering.
Bar me from entering, right? But in my case, because of who I am and my soul's mission was to bring this energy through, this new earth frequency through, there was another elder that was her best friend who threw herself in front of the arrow and took the blow. And so she killed her friend. Well, my ears now starting to ring. And so she grabbed my hand, and she could foresee no matter what she tried, I still come crawling back. I saw my hand come crawling back out of the pit. I still come crawling back. She could not, no matter what, kill me. But I do believe that humanity's consciousness has this specific block, because they need to find balance within their mind before entering the pineal gland. It was very important. But I was allowed to go through because I had some sort of key to be able to go into these other frequencies, because they had taken me to New Earth scenarios to show me the feeling of what it feels like to have a still mind and living completely in the moment. So I was allowed to go into the next frequency. When I got there, there was a river that ran across with a bridge, and the bridge was the corpus callosum that joined the two hemispheres of the brain, and the river was the thought process, or the information that was flowing through my corpus callosum from one side of my brain to the other. And a little blonde boy, I think he was more like a Palladian boy, came up to the bridge, and he goes, watch this, and he puts his hand out to the river, and he learned to stop, to still the river. And that was part of my learning, was to learn to still my mind. And then he let it roll, let it flow again. And as it's flowing, big, huge fish came that were dead. And these fish, like two of them, one after the other. One went under the bridge, and he goes, watch this. And as he puts his hand out, it starts to come alive. And the next one was decaying, right, really decaying. And he puts his hand out, and it starts sprouting seaweeds and stuff, but it changes and morphs into something different, and it comes alive as it goes through the corpus callosum. So these are the stories that are dying, and that's the old program that's dying, and the ability to be able to change the story so that when we get through into this new frequency, we can, before we get there, we can say, okay, using our imagination, where do we want to go? What do we want to create? Take the reins of our own reality and start to learn to create this new story, and knowing the map of where we're going. To me, is learning telepathy, telekinesis, and all those abilities that raise us beyond the program.
Yes. Yeah. That's interesting, that one. So that was in a you were in a vision quest? Were you in a ceremony when that just came? Were you sitting up? Were you sleeping? How did that happen? What was the ceremony like?
The ceremony was 28 days of no sugar or root vegetables. To go on the vision quest, you can't be connected to the earth, so root vegetables, no meat, really difficult diet, but oh wow, was I clear by the end of it. Then you grab your tent, and I had to go up, find a space on this block of land. That was a sacred block of land. And then we were supposed to put 4 stones each side of our tent, pitch our tent up. You're not allowed to go outside that circle for the next few days. You don't eat anything, you just drink water. And then I started journaling, and so I had a pad and pencil. I had a visitation from a massive caterpillar. I followed a rabbit up there, and the rabbit is actually the elder's totem, so I knew to go up high. And I had a dream just before this dream that told me what I was going to eat next. So I knew that there was some sort of predictive foresight happening, because I was told we were going to eat something totally different, and I dreamt the correct thing.
Right.
Yeah. So then I just fell asleep, and then this is the vision quest that it took me on. And I just have an understanding of what was going on because of who I am and where my journey's been. Yeah.
So how did you end up going to America and finding this elder? I haven't listened. You've got a lot of videos, haven't you, on of your actual journey. I really need to watch some more of them instead of taking up time on a chat.
I love the questions. It's fine. I love sharing the information, but they are big. Some of them are big stories, so I have to kind of compress them. That's all. I actually was getting bombarded by a lot of visions, and I just went, okay, I need to take the reins and direct where I'm going. They told me to ask a question. And 2, I want to meet someone of high integrity that can help me with these visions. And then there was all these, crazy synchronicities. Boom, 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 boom. You meet certain people just for a moment, just to lead you to the fact that this elder was coming from Ohio, and she was going to Byron Bay. I'd had a 6-month-old baby. But I packed her up in the car, and I went to Byron Bay, and I went and saw her. She actually came up to me straight up and said certain things. And then we ended up having the discussion, and she called me out of the crowd. And then a year later, after she pulled me out of the crowd, I went and saw her again when she came back, and she pulled me out of another crowd. So she met a lot of people, right? So to pull me out of the crowd twice and be the first one twice is pretty unusual. So she said that I'll be working with you, and we ended up working together for the next few years. And I learned a lot about my own crap, honestly, and where I'd lost myself. It was a very difficult journey. I've been through a lot of difficult journeys. Yeah.
So she took you went to America to meet up with her over there. Like, you saw her and met her here, and then you followed her over there for this longer journey.
Yeah, it was a vision quest. It was actually a sun dance that was happening. Lots of synchronicities and crazy stories going on with that too, because the sun dance happened during the time where there was a big oil spill between North America and South America. And lo and behold, I had just came off a trip myself that had taken me to that place. I was on a cruise ship, and I had already been told previously in a dream to buy specific, really high love frequency crystals to do the Merkaba and tip one over the edge. Every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, I got up on this cruise ship to this Merkaba. I just did whatever they told me to do.
Yeah.
And then when we did the sun dance, that was the focus, right? Because this oil spill happened, and I said, well, I actually dropped all these amazing love crystals there, and maybe we can use them as the frequency to shift
Yeah.
this, you know. And that's what happened. By the end of the Sundance, it stopped. And it had been going for ages. So
yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Just crazy. And another crazy story is that prediction was actually made in a movie called The Knowing, when Nicolas Cage was in The Knowing. And it was on the TV as one of the predictions, which hadn't happened before that movie had been made, right? And also in that movie, the name of the actual elder was of the actual teacher, was the same name as this elder. I love those things. It's like another fun one was one of my favorite series movies is called Taken, and it's not the one you're probably thinking of, but it's one by Steven Spielberg that has Dakota Fanning in it. Yeah, right. I think it's the second or the third series of that movie. I think it's the second one. My whole name is in that movie. My whole friggin' name, Bobbie Richardson. Who has their name in the movie that they love most, you know? And it was of a softball player that was hitting a home run. What the frick? And here I am as my soul path is to help lead people, guide people to a home, you know, going back home. This is the synchronicities that happen through life, and it's so exciting.
And that's why you have to slow down sometimes to observe the synchronicities, to become more aware of that energy flow, because we're sort of not allowed to slow down. We're all focused on all of these things in the news and everything. So pull back and become more interested in all of this. And as we've sort of talked about before, and other people are saying, that as this frequency rises, the synchronicities increase. The what is it? Spooky effect at a distance. So so we start seeing the interconnectedness of all things, which are like, there we go, you know, helping us on that path.
Yeah, being open and aware enough to allow things to happen, and ask for miracles, ask for synchronicities to show, to teach your left brain that these things are happening. I mean, through all of that, you start to think, I am creating my own reality. When you get to that point of realizing you're creating, you're taking the reins and responsibility back of creating. And then you're starting to see all the blockages in your mind that are holding you back. And then you have to go through the shadow work to clear those. But then once that's cleared, you're free to be able to create the reality that you really desire. Yeah, but it is opening up yourself to the synchronicities of life and finding from yourself. Anyway.
I also wanted to talk a little bit about, what do you think, because we were on a chat, watching a video, we were in the chat, and we were talking about Drunvalo Melchizedek in the little chat down the side. And one of the things that, when I first came across him, I was staying at a friend's place, and there was an entire series of VHS tapes. This is how long ago this was. So this was in, I was in my late 20s, early 30s, probably. And this is when he did his Flower of Life weekends. And he talked about the pulse coming from the center of the galaxy. He talked about the wave as we know it, or the event. And he described it as that there would be 3 days of darkness. And what he said would happen is that there wouldn't be light, that we would just be in a void, and that if we hadn't worked through our fears and things, this was going to happen in those 3 days. You would be given this opportunity to do it quickly in 3 days. But what do you think is going to happen with regard to this? Because everybody's sort of talking about the event. People who've done BQH, you know, Beyond Quantum Healing, or QHHT, have talked about the event. So what do you think is going to happen with this frequency?
I honestly, I don't have all the answers. I want to.
Well, I'm just
straight up.
What?
But,
yeah. I don't know either, because we're all
'cause
influencing reality. But anyway,
that's right. Because I've also been brought to, like, you know, the comet Kachina, the Hopi legends, and all that sort of stuff as well. And I know what you're talking about, because I did read that book, The Flower of Life. It's one of the only ones that I actually did read pretty much from front to cover. It was like, I need to read this. I know that, okay, let's put it this way. I know that everybody is going through their own journey within themselves in their own time, right? But maybe there is groups of us that are starting to raise our level, and the more we raise our level of consciousness, the more we come into that point of reference of oneness. And oneness is acceptance of all and stillness. And so that means that maybe it's the start of creation again. And those people could feel, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's going to be specifically 3 days of darkness, or whether it's something that we individually go through within our own journey of tower moments and shadow work and all that sort of stuff. It's because there's so many different diverse realities happening all the time around us. And like my parents will they're on a totally different reality to me. What do they foresee? Well, maybe they do foresee that everything goes black and it just ends up dropping out for them. But for us, it might be that, oh my God, we've met oneness and we understand and accept that we're all together as one. You know, I think it depends on the person's way of perceiving the actual events that are coming, and whether it's the hard thing is, like, I was shown in 2020 March, I was brought through this vortex, the Taurus belt, showing that Earth was entering the center of this Taurus energy, this donut energy. And that was just when coronavirus started, so that totally makes sense. Now we're going to come to a point at the center of that was oneness, right? We get it, we are one. And then from the other side of that is we're starting to create our own reality. Now, I have a feeling it happened in 2021 in December, when we had the big activation with Uluru. But now I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Is it still coming? Is it still something that we're still coming towards? Because people are, it's a hard one. I couldn't say. I really couldn't say. And I don't want to just pretend that I know.
Yeah. And I think that's important to, like, if it is on anybody's mind, for some reason I thought about bringing it up. So somebody needs to know about this, or has to have some clarity on this. And I think that the message that I would give people, if they're thinking about what is this wave, what is this flash, what is this thing, is to deal with the emotions that you feel about this event. Are you nervous? Are you worried? Are you concerned? So to feel how you feel about it, because it's an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity to look at some shadow. And it might be that other things are worrying you, or other issues, like, you know, the Jabberwocky, whatever you want to call it. So I think that no one really knows, because everybody is filtering this stuff through them. Everybody that's talking about this, everybody that's everybody's doing their best. Everybody who's, you know, or most people are wanting to help. What most people are wanting to be guides and to be of assistance, but it is still coming through their filter to a degree. So just process. So I don't think we really know. So just process how you're feeling about it in and be willing to dive deep into the emotions that you have around this situation. That's
I was shown in another dream where these black tubes came down and just took out everything that wasn't in harmony. And I was on the radio in the dream telling people to learn to still their mind. Just that's all you have to do, is just be in harmony with the moment that you're living. Don't hold on to any of it, because I think what's happening is the old programs are falling away. So when they fall away and get taken by these black tubes of light, you don't want to be part of that old program, because you'll feel like you're going crazy because you've got too much taken away all at once. Maybe I actually woke up from that dream, and the first thing that was on my Facebook was a remote viewing thing from a government remote viewing, and I read it, and it was of someone who remote viewed the exact dream that I just dreamt. And that went, okay, you know, that's the sort of that way that spirit works with me. I've got, okay, you've got my attention now, because I can't have a dream and then it come up in physical reality in front of me the next morning. So I do believe that we are purging at the moment. We're going through this purge, and I think that comes up in the Hopi legend as well, with this blue star Kachina that's coming across. We're purging all of our old programming, and then so that we're preparing ourselves for a new way of creation, a new way to create. So whatever happens, you'll be fine. But if you're holding on to the people that are holding on to the old program, and they wouldn't even listen to us anyway, Joe, they wouldn't be here. The ones that are listening to us, you're already on this journey, you're already doing it right now. So I would always say with that is you'll be fine, because I couldn't imagine anyone listening to this they were already in resonance with their soul and understand and asking the question. Just asking the questions is enough, because it brings you to the next step. And that's a big thing that they told me when I took the reins of my own reality. They said, well, you have to ask the questions. So I did, and we start asking these bigger questions. What's potential? Where are we going? Why are we here? You know, those sort of big questions.
Yeah, that starts you on that path. When you ask that question, it opens a door, it opens a pathway in front of you. And if you never ask the question, then the door never opens, the door never even appears.
Yeah. So no matter what, I feel everything's going to be absolutely fine. And even within I don't want to feel too much into the people that aren't coming, because they're going to have their own soul journey, and they wanted it that way. And the reason why I can accept that is because when I was in the vortex of being one with all, oneness, and that acceptance of the whole story meant that oneness wanted to explore what it was like to feel into being a praying mantis. What does a praying mantis do? It's the male's head. Wanted to feel what it was like to be a salamander, wanted to feel what it's like to be a human, wanted to feel how far away humanity could pull their self away from love itself, from itself, to see what they could create outside of itself. And so their journey is an adventure that oneness wants to take, otherwise it wouldn't exist. So if that's their journey and that's where their soul wanted to go, oneness wanted to explore that, and so it is valid, and it is something that you can now, as a light worker, say, I accept that that's your path. We're not here to save everyone, because if we're here to save everyone, then oneness has no diverse journey to learn from. You know, when we're in the thick of the worst points of our life, we learn so much about ourselves. And so that's what, this is all one big, huge adventure and one huge game, one huge experience, one for oneness to come through. And what I'm here for, and I'm sure you feel the same, is we're shifting it up. We're here to shift it up and try something new.
Definitely. Absolutely. One of the things that's happening for me is as I'm traveling around, which was what I've been doing, the energies that I emit, the language I emit, has been being anchored wherever I am, wherever I go. And that's my contribution, in a way, at this moment, is the energy that I'm bringing through is helping this shift happen, to increase frequencies wherever I happen to travel. Yeah, it's such a fascinating place where we are at the moment. It's very it's very interesting. I'm so excited for what is happening and where we're going.
Yeah. And I know that the next stage is going to be the fun part. It's where,
yes,
you know, we've already done the hard yards.
I know.
We had it hard because we had to learn all these lessons so we can come here, and now we start creating what we really desire and what we want. So we're stepping into the fun part, and makes me feel good anyway.
That's what I get to, that this year is going to be, it will be much different to last year, ultimately.
Yeah, wherever that takes us, we will have to meet. Yeah. We'll leave it there. But just stay online, Joe. Okay, so we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for being part of this experience and this amazing journey that Joe and I are going on as we discuss, and being a fly on the wall. It's one thing that keeps popping up in my head. Be a fly on the wall to two light workers discussing their journey. Love you guys. Okay, bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.